I want you to do something for me before this video is over. I want you to walk down into your basement, or your cellar, or wherever your house keeps its cool, dark corner, and I want you to stand at the bottom of the stairs and breathe in through your nose. If it smells like earth after rain, like an old book, like a damp towel that never quite dried, then I want you to hear me plainly. That smell is not dirt. It is not age. It is not just what basements smell like, though I know that is what you have told yourself, because I have heard 100 folks say it. That smell is your house speaking to you, and it is saying one sentence over and over, and the sentence is this: there is water down here that has nowhere to go. My name is Jonas. I am a carpenter, and I have spent my life in and under old houses. And I will tell you something that surprises people. Our cellars, in houses 150 years old, with stone walls and dirt floors, some of them, do not smell that way. You would think they would be the worst of all. They are not. They smell like cool stone and clean earth, the way a spring house smells. And that is not luck, and it is not because old houses were built better. It is because the old folk understood one thing about that smell that the man at the hardware store, standing in front of a shelf of mold sprays, has never once told you. Today I will tell you that one thing, and then I will give you 5 plain ways we keep a cellar dry and sweet, and the dearest of them costs about $2. Here is the thing to understand, and everything else in this video hangs on it. Mold is not something that happens to a house the way a cold happens to a man. Mold is a message. It grows in exactly one condition, where there is dampness that stays. No lasting damp, no mold. It is as plain as that. So when a man finds a black patch on his basement wall and sprays it with something from a bottle, he is shooting the messenger. The patch dies, the wall looks clean, and he feels he has done a day's work. And the water that fed that patch is still coming in, same as before. And in a month or a season, the patch is back, and he sprays it again, and he will be doing that little dance for the rest of his natural life. The old folk never asked, "How do I kill the mold?" They asked a better question: where is the water coming from, and how do I turn it away? Answer that question, and the mold has nothing to live on, and it leaves and does not come back. So that is what the 5 things are. They are 5 answers to that question. Before we go down those stairs together, a word. This channel is for folks who would rather fix the cause of a thing once than pay for the symptom forever. If that is you, subscribe. There is a plain old skill here every week, and I would be glad of your company. Now, to the water. The first place to look is not in your basement at all. It is standing outside in the rain, looking up. Here is a number worth knowing, and it comes from the university extension people who measure such things. When 1 inch of rain falls on the roof of an ordinary 2,000 square foot house, that roof sheds about 1,250 gallons of water. 1,250 gallons in one modest rain. That is a small pond delivered to the edges of your house every time the sky opens. Now, where does it go? If your gutters are clean and your downspouts carry that water well away from the house, it goes off across the yard and into the ground far from your walls, and your basement never meets it. But if the gutters are packed with leaves, or the downspout ends right at the corner of the foundation, then that small pond is being poured directly against the base of your house. The ground there soaks it up like bread in gravy, and the water sits against your foundation wall, and stone and block and even poured concrete will drink it, slowly, from the wet side to the dry side. And the dry side is your basement. That musty smell in August very often began at a clogged gutter in May. So here is the work, and most of it is free. Clean the gutters, spring and fall. Then go around the house in a good rain with your coat on and just watch where the water goes. You will learn more in 10 minutes of honest rain than from any inspection report. Watch each downspout. If it dumps at the foundation, put an extension on it, a plain pipe or a flexible one, and carry that water 6 feet from the wall or more. They cost about $10 or $15 a piece at the hardware store, and I know of no $15 that does more for a house. And while you are out there, look at the ground itself. The soil should slope away from the house on every side, so water runs from the walls, not toward them. Over the years, soil settles and sinks beside foundations, and many an old house sits in a shallow dish of its own making. If you find a low spot against the wall, fill it and slope it with a few bags of dirt so the ground falls away from the house. A shovel, an afternoon, and a few dollars of fill. The honest word on this one. If you have real water coming in, a wet floor after every storm, a crack that weeps, this will help it greatly but may not end it alone. Serious water sometimes wants drain tile and serious work. But for the ordinary damp basement, the one that just smells and sweats, the rain you turn away outside is half the battle won, and it is won for the price of a pipe. Now the second one, and here I must take something away from you because it is a thing nearly everybody believes, and it is doing real harm in basements all across the country every summer. When a basement smells musty, what does every soul on earth do? They open the basement windows. Air it out, they say. Let it breathe. It stands to reason, does it not? Damp room, fresh air, problem solved. And I am sorry to tell you that in summer, that is exactly backwards. In summer, opening your basement windows makes your basement wetter. Not drier, wetter. Hear me out, because once you see why, you will never unsee it, and you will feel it the next time you carry a cold drink outside in July. You take a glass of cold water out to the porch on a humid summer day, and what happens? The outside of the glass sweats. Water runs down it. That water did not come from inside the glass. It came out of the air. Warm summer air carries a great load of water in it, invisible, and the moment that air touches something cool, it cannot hold its load anymore, and it lets it go, right there on the cool surface. The men of science call it condensation. My grandmother called it sweating, and she knew exactly what caused it. Now think of your basement. It sits in the ground, and the ground is cool, so the walls and the floor of your basement stay cool all summer, like that glass of water. And when you open the windows on a hot, humid day, you are inviting in great volumes of warm, water-heavy air, and every bit of it that touches your cool walls does exactly what it did to the glass. It sweats its water out onto your walls, your floor, your pipes, the underside of everything. You believe you are airing the damp out. You are pouring the damp in. The extension people say it plainly in their bulletins. Do not ventilate a basement with warm, humid air. And yet every July, 1 million basement windows stand open, and 1 million basements grow a little more musty, and their owners cannot understand why airing it out never seems to work. So the rule is this, and it is simple. In humid summer weather, keep the basement windows shut. Shut, and let the cool basement keep its cool, dry peace. The time to air a basement is when the air outside is drier than the air inside. A crisp fall day, a dry cold snap in winter, a cool dry morning in spring. Then open it wide and let it breathe all it likes. The old folk knew this without a single instrument. The spring house, where they kept the milk and butter cool, was built tight and opened seldom in summer, and that is exactly why it stayed sweet inside. They did not fight the summer air. They kept it out. This one costs you nothing at all. It is not even work. It is the stopping of a harmful work you have been doing faithfully for years. The third place the water comes from surprises folks the most. It is you. It is the family. A household makes its own water, gallons of it, every single day, and a good share of it ends up in the air of the house. The clothes dryer is the worst offender I know. If your dryer vents into the basement instead of out through the wall, and I have seen this in more houses than I care to count, then every load of laundry is a gallon or more of water boiled off those clothes, and blown straight into your basement air. A dryer must vent outdoors. All the way outdoors, not into a bucket, not into a stocking on the end of the hose, which I have also seen. Outdoors. If yours does not, fixing that one thing may do more for your musty basement than everything else in this video. The same goes for laundry hung to dry down there. I am all for a clothesline, but hang it in the sun and the wind where the water can leave, not in the one room of the house that cannot afford to receive it. And the shower and the kitchen upstairs, run the fans if you have them, and crack a window while you cook and bathe in the drier seasons, so that water leaves the house instead of settling through it. Now, a word about the machine, because I know many of you have one humming in the basement right now. The dehumidifier. I will be fair with it. A dehumidifier is not a fraud like some things I have talked about on this channel. It does what it says. It pulls water out of the air, and you pour the bucket down the drain, and the basement is drier for it. But understand what it is. It is a man bailing a boat. As long as he bails, the boat stays afloat. The moment he rests, the water returns, because the leak was never mended. The extension people themselves say a dehumidifier treats the symptom of a damp basement and is not a permanent or complete answer. It costs money to buy and money every month to run, and it will run forever because it mends nothing. Use it if you have one gladly, but use it the way you use a bandage, while the wound heals, not instead of healing it. Turn the rain away outside, shut the summer windows, vent the dryer, and you will find that bucket filling slower and slower, and one day you will realize the machine has little left to do. That day, and not before, the basement is actually fixed. Now, while the kettle of this video boils, one small piece of housekeeping and then no more of it. I keep a little paper of the simplest fixes from this channel, 15 of them, each $1 or thereabouts. What to do, why it works, what it saves. It costs nothing. If you want it, the link is under this video, and you leave your name and where to send it, and it goes straight out to you. Enough said. Back down the stairs with me. Now comes my favorite, the $2 one. If you have ever stood inside an old dairy barn, or an old cellar, or a spring house, and seen the walls white, that white was not paint, and it was not put there to be pretty. That is limewash. Lime and water brushed on. And it is one of the oldest and finest tricks in the whole book of keeping a building, and it has been all but forgotten by everyone except the plain folk and the keepers of old buildings, who never stopped using it, because nothing modern does what it does for the money. Here is what it is. You buy a bag of hydrated lime, not garden lime for the soil, but hydrated lime, sometimes called builder's lime or mason's lime, and it is with the mortar and cement at any builder's supply, and a whole bag costs a few dollars and will do your cellar twice over. You mix it with water until it is like thin cream or whole milk. Some of the old recipes, and I have read them in household books from the 1800s, stir in a handful of common salt to help it hold. That is the whole of the recipe. Lime, water, a little salt if you like. You brush it onto the masonry, stone, block, brick, concrete, and it goes on thin and watery, and you will think it is doing nothing. And then it dries white as chalk. Now here is why it earns its place in this video, and why the National Park Service, who keep the oldest buildings in the country, still recommend it and still use it. First, fresh limewash is strongly alkaline, which is a way of saying that mold and mildew simply cannot live on it. It is not poison in a bottle that kills a patch and washes away. The whole surface of the wall becomes a place where the mold cannot take hold to begin with. The old farmers whitewashed the dairy barn every year not for looks, but because milk must be kept clean, and a lime-washed wall stays sweet. Second, and this is the part that separates it from every modern paint, limewash breathes. A sealed paint on a damp basement wall traps the water inside the wall, and the paint blisters and peels, and the wall rots behind it in the dark. You have seen those peeling basement walls. That is the paint fighting the wall. Limewash does not seal. It lets the water vapor in the wall pass through and leave, so the wall can dry, while the surface stays a place mold cannot grow. It works with the wall instead of against it. And third, it is $2 a room, near enough, and my grandfather's grandfather used the same recipe. Now the honest words, and there are two of them. First, safety, and I mean this. Wet lime is caustic. It will burn skin if you leave it there, and it can do real harm to an eye. So you wear gloves, and you wear glasses or goggles when you mix and when you brush overhead. And you keep the bucket away from children, and if you get it on your skin, you rinse it off with plenty of water and no fuss. Treat it with the same respect you would give hot ash from the stove. Handled with sense, it has been handled safely by ordinary families for a few thousand years. Second, the honest limit. Limewash is not paint that lasts 20 years. As it ages and weathers, its strength against the mold fades. And the old answer to that was simple. You gave the cellar a fresh coat every year or two, and it was an afternoon's light work with a wide brush. The barn got whitewashed every spring. That was not a failure of the method. That was the method. A little often, instead of a lot never. And I will say plainly what limewash will not do. It will not dry out a wall that has water pouring at it from a clogged gutter. It is the finish on the work, not the work itself. Turn the water away first, and then limewash, and the two together will give you the cellar the old folk had, cool and white and sweet smelling. The last one is short, and it is about the mold that is already on your walls, because I have not forgotten it. Once you have done the other things, turned the rain away, shut the summer windows, sent the dryer's water outdoors, then and only then is it worth cleaning the mold you have. Do it before that, and you are shooting the messenger again, and another messenger will come. For a patch on a hard surface, plain scrubbing with soapy water and a stiff brush does the work. It is the scrubbing that matters more than what is in the bucket, whatever the bottles at the store say. Wear a mask for the dust of it, and gloves, and throw the rags away after. For a patch bigger than a door, or mold inside walls and under floors, that is past the weekend work of this channel and honest to say so. That wants a professional. But here is the thing I want you to notice in the months after. When the water has truly been turned away, the patch you scrubbed does not come back. That is how you know you fixed the house and not the symptom. The wall stays clean not because you killed something, but because you took away the water it lived on. Same as the weeds in the path, for those of you who were with me last week. The cure is never in the bottle. It is in the cause. I will leave you with this thought, and then a question. A basement tells you the truth about a house, the way hands tell you the truth about a man. Upstairs can be painted and papered and made to say anything. Downstairs, the house speaks plainly. And a man who goes down his own stairs once a season and breathes in and listens to what the house is saying, that man will never be surprised by his house. The rot, the damp, the trouble, they all announce themselves down there first, quietly, years before they send you a bill. The old folk had no meters and no machines, and their cellars kept butter cool and potatoes sound clear through to spring. Not because they had secrets, because they paid attention, and they answered small problems while the problems were small. So here is my question for the comments, and I ask it honestly. Go stand in your basement or your cellar and breathe, and then come tell me. What does it smell like down there? Cool stone or damp towel? And if it is the damp towel, tell me which of the 5 you suspect. The gutters, the windows, the dryer, and I will tell you plainly where I would start. I read every one, and between us all, there is more good sense in that comment section than in any bottle at the store. And if you would care to walk through another of the plain old ways with me next week, subscribe, and you will find the way back. Until then, remember, the smell is not the problem. The smell is the message. Answer it, and your house will thank you for 50 years. God keep you, friend. We will talk again.